coming up on Network Africa. Kenya's Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in hospital ahead of Senate impeachment vote today. Head of Mali's military junta appoints himself to the highest ranking position held by only 2 previous Mali heads of state. Plus, casualty figures in the petrol-laden tanker explosion in Jigawa State, Nigeria, rises to 154. Let's begin. Welcome to the program. Kenya's Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has failed to appear in Senate to testify at his impeachment trial, with his lawyers saying that he's been ill and is in hospital. The Deputy President, who was present in the House in the morning, had been due to appear from 2:30 p.m. local time to defend himself before a vote was due by this evening about whether to remove him from office. He was expected to take the witness stand on the second day of his impeachment trial, which is today. 2/3 of lawmakers in the upper house of parliament are required to oust him. He does still face 11 charges, including corruption, inciting ethnic divisions, and undermining the government. As the trial began on Wednesday, the Deputy President pleaded not guilty to each of the charges as they were read out in the House. An overwhelming majority of MPs in the National Assembly last week voted to approve his impeachment, setting the stage for the Senate trial. Meanwhile, head of Mali's military junta has promoted himself to the rank of Army General with a special title. He'll now be known as Colonel Assimi Goita of the Land Army. It's the highest military distinction held only by 2 former heads of state in the country's history. According to analysts, the move by Colonel Goita, who seized power in 2020, is a sign that he has no intention of ceding power to civilians in the landlocked West African country. The announcement was made by the Council of Ministers, which published a statement on the website of the Malian government's General Secretariat. 5 other highly influential colonels of the Malian military junta were also promoted to the rank of 4-star generals. As to a democratic transition into civilian rule, no date has been set for Mali's next presidential election. And we're back here in Nigeria with an update now on the tanker fire that rocked Jigawa State. The death toll from the explosion has risen to 154, with over 100 other people receiving treatment at various hospitals across the state. The disaster was triggered by residents who had rushed to scoop fuel from a tanker which overturned, and later it exploded in Majia Town, Taura local government area. Vice President Kashim Shettima, though not in the country, has called for comprehensive review of fuel transportation safety protocols across the country, sending a condolence message to families of the victims.
At 11:45 p.m., a petrol tanker destined for Yobe State after taking off from Kano ends its journey in Majia Town in Taura local government area of Jigawa State, spilling its volatile content. Residents sadly do not heed to the constant warning of not scooping fuel in situations like this. The lure of profiting from petrol results in a horrendous explosion. It's a visit that the Jigawa governor would rather not embark on, but he is here and promises to pick the bills of the injured.
Those in the hospital, the government will take a full responsibility of their medical bills. Apart from the secondary facilities we have in the state, we have also make arrangement with the tertiary facilities, Amini Kano Teaching Hospital, Federal Medical Center Brununkudu, and Federal Medical Center Unguru. For those that are in Hadija General Hospital, they have a referral center at Federal Medical Center Unguru. And for those that are in Jahun, they have a referral place at Federal Medical Center Brununkudu. And for those in Ringium General Hospital, they will be referred to Kano Teaching Hospitals.
Chairman of the local government and NEMA at the burial noted that there will be need for sensitization in communities to keep people away from petrol tanker accidents.
Wanted a fact and fall. The petrol had been misleading in the drainage. The people in that area came out to carry the fuel, maybe to sell whatever they want to do. The fuel now catch fire and we have the loss of 147 people right now. We have almost 89 in the hospital. They are hospitalized. Right now, I'm receiving a call that 3 of them died.
A lot of sensitization has been going on in Nigeria that people should avoid rushing into an accident vehicle like that. A big a tanker that is carrying petrol to be scooping oil. So there is a lot of sensitization about that, but people refuse to heed to advice. That is one of the reasons this calamity happened.
Locals dig the grounds to bury the charred bodies, an unpleasant but necessary task. Members of the community narrate the ordeal and count their losses as some patients have been transferred to Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. This is yet another avoidable carnage, which leads to the question of how to ensure that Nigerians are sufficiently sensitized on the grave danger of scooping fuel when accidents like this occur.
Nigeria has received the first batch of 846,000 doses of the R21 Malaria Vaccine from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. During the official launch, the Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pateh, said ownership of the vaccine is a significant milestone in the transformative efforts of the current administration in the fight to eliminate malaria across the country. He assures Nigerians of the safety and efficacy of the vaccine and calls on parents to take advantage of the opportunity. Joining us now is virologist and executive director, Global Health and Infectious Diseases Control Institute in Nasarawa State, Kefe, Dr. Akila Ishaku. Doctor, thank you for joining us on the program. And I think it's been long coming. I mean, this wait for this vaccine, people have been expecting it probably more than any other vaccine in the country. So how will they be distributed now that they have been received by the federal government?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. And I want to congratulate Nigeria for the receipt of these vaccines. And then I think despite we did not take part in the clinical trials, other countries like Ghana, like Malawi, like Kenya, and other African countries that took part in these vaccine clinical trials, actually we are waiting to receive the first stock of these vaccines. Nigeria did not participate in this clinical trial, but I think Gavi in its own benevolence was able to give us certain doses of these vaccines. How these vaccines will be distributed, I think there is a framework for that. The enrollment and the deployment for these vaccines will take place in 2 states, in Bayelsa and in Kebbi State. The choice of these states is because of the endemicity and seasonal transmission of malaria parasites in the 2 states. But that raised the questions of advocacy. You know that this malaria vaccine production started 40 years ago. The completion of the development of this vaccine came to the final stage in 2013. But because there is need for WHO pre-qualification license for this vaccine to be used within human population, it took over 8 to 9 years. And then the announcement of the pre-qualification license came in 2021. So from 2021 to 2024, I expect as a country we would have prepared our citizens in terms of advocacy, in terms of the uptake of these vaccines, even in terms of acceptability of these vaccines. But we didn't. Even with the misinformation and vaccine myths that came along COVID vaccines, you know that there is a vaccine hesitancy. And so my expectation is that during the production of these vaccines, till the enrollment of these vaccines and the uptake, we as a country will need to sensitize our people on the importance of vaccines and to break the channels or the cycle of vaccine hesitancy.
Dr. Akila, I heard you say at least 3 times that Nigeria did not participate in the clinical trial of the vaccine. Was that a disadvantage for us?
It is quite a disadvantage for us. This is because vaccine clinical trials is a phase in the phases of vaccine development. The data that you generate from clinical trials improve the technology of vaccines. And you know that we have genetic diversity, we have genetic polymorphism, meaning that our genetic makeup differs from other people's genetic makeup. Maybe perhaps, Adinbing, we participate in the clinical trials of these vaccines. Data from Nigeria would have given an informed, come up with, through the data that we generate from Nigeria, would have come up with data that would have informed policy decision, even in terms of vaccine improvement, vaccine improvement generally when it comes to development. I can share with you that even during COVID, we were quite relaxed. Even when we roll out COVID vaccines, there were no much studies that were done on COVID vaccine, either to check for acceptability, either to check for hesitancy, either to check for even the vaccine enrollment and distribution. And that's why millions of doses of COVID-19 expired on us. Huge resources are deployed for the production of these vaccines. But if these vaccines are being rolled out and then issues of vaccine hesitancy comes into play, find out that these vaccines will get wastage. I hope that we need to do more in terms of advocacy for the rollout of this malaria vaccine. I hope that we need to do a lot of studies on the acceptability of these vaccines, even on how our immune system will elicit certain antibodies to these vaccines and how long these antibodies will last. So we need to do a lot of studies even during this rollout phase. But what is quite needed is that we need advocacy. Nigerians need to know we shall be very soon be having the M71 vaccine for tuberculosis. Nothing has been heard about it. There are a lot of presidential initiatives about lowering the cost of healthcare in Nigeria that were rolled out. Nothing is heard about it. So there are even companies that are setting up their factory along Lagos, Ogun State, to manufacture the dual insecticide-treated mosquito net that is quite very effective globally. In Nigeria, nobody is talking about it. Nobody is sharing about this good news to Nigerian citizens. You could imagine that we have stock of malaria vaccines to be deployed in 2 states in country. Nobody is saying anything about this progress. And I strongly believe that time has come for us to actually review our strategy on risk communication and see to how we can adopt when it comes to communicating health and communicating sciences to the Nigerian citizens.
Yes, and I quite agree with you. I mean, we need to sensitize people. We need to inform them because people do need to accept these vaccines. And the belief is that, at the end of the day, it will help eliminate malaria. Do you see this as, one of the strategies that will help to eliminate malaria in Nigeria? I mean, if we all take the vaccine?
Yeah, it is one of the strategy that will help us, because once we develop immunity to it, the vector, which is the mosquito, cannot be able to actually flourish when they have their meal, like the blood meal, and be able to transmit the parasite in human population. But another strategy is it has to be with environmental control. We need to focus more on the control of the environment, the breeding sites of mosquitoes. We need to do a lot of deploy a lot of strategies in terms of control of the environment, in terms of looking at the breeding site, even the mosquito itself. We need to see how genetically we can modify certain species of these mosquitoes so that their longevity will be impaired. That's the life expectancy will be impaired. So yes, vaccine on the other hand will actually establish immunity within the population. But what is quite key is that we must look at the ecosystem of the environment and also have strategy for the control of the vectors in the environment.
Do you think, Dr. Akila, that while it will be imperative for Nigerians to take the vaccine, will it also be imperative for people who are coming from outside of the continent who are coming to Nigeria? Do you think they will also need to be vaccinated with the malaria vaccine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, for countries that are endemic. For countries that are not endemic, there is no need. If you have someone coming from the US, you don't expect him to take vaccines. But if you have somebody that is coming from Cotonou, from Benin Republic, and from other neighboring countries that are endemic to malaria, yes, just like the way we are traveling out of the country to countries that are yellow fever virus is free, they expect us to take the yellow fever vaccines because we are coming from the endemic region. And so countries that are coming from endemic region, there is need for them to take the vaccine upon arrival. But you know that the vaccine is given on 4 doses, and then the 5th dose after 1 year. So how do you expect to monitor that? So the monitoring mechanism too, to ensure that the completeness of the doses of the vaccines are quite key. We are looking forward to a time in our season where vaccines will be produced for a one-shot at a go, so that issues of first dose, second dose, third dose, fourth dose, and the booster 5th dose after 1 year will not be in existence. So once you take a one shot, that will be for a lifetime.
Yes,
we are looking forward to that
will be most
with
convenient.
the improvement in technology, in medical sciences. I think in terms of vaccine development, we will soon reach to that stage.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akila Ishaku, for speaking with us on Network Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Good.
You're watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Still ahead on the program. One person dead, 2 missing as rescued migrants arrive at shelter after boat accident off a Greek island. Stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations Global Compact 2023 reports that approximately 2.78 million workers worldwide lose their lives due to occupational accidents and work-related diseases. In response to this urgent crisis, South Africa's Department of Employment and Labour has launched the Occupational Health and Safety Prevention Accord and OHS strategy in Johannesburg. Our correspondent Innocent Simosa sent this in.
The event themed collaboration and strategic approach to prevent and reduce incidents and occupational diseases in workplace brought together key stakeholders from government, labor and business to address critical issues in occupational health and safety. Millie Reithers is the Chief Inspector responsible for occupational health and safety nationally.
The burden of disease as well as injuries and diseases is too high for us to be spending so much money related to injuries and diseases, but also over and above that, there are workers' lives, workers' health and safety that are impacted when we do not prevent injuries and diseases.
Some labor unions says that while there's progress made, much more still needs to be done.
First of all, employing more inspectors. I think the current number of inspectors is inadequate to reach out to all the workplaces where there is safety issues. And also I think the law enforcement agencies are not serious when it comes to enforcing these practices, and enforcing the health and safety laws.
Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Union, Zweli Nzimavavi, underscores some improvements made since the dawn of democracy.
Massive improvement if you compare it, the statistics to the period before 1993, 1994. The pieces of legislation have really played a tremendous role, but way still to go.
Acting Director of Social Policy at Business Unity South Africa, Sanelisiwe Yankees, says this collaboration between government, labor and business is a step in the right direction.
It's incredible. It is sticking with the tenets of how we do business, and we're talking about tripartism, social dialogue, collaboration, and without it, I'm quite sure we wouldn't have been here today with respect to the signing of this accord and the strategy, but also making grand plans as to how we as social partners, alongside with the state, intend on implementing it.
Now, some of the challenges that attendees anticipate in implementing this in different sectors is legislation and passing laws. But some believe that this is a step in the right direction in order to deal with the injuries and diseases in the workplace. From Pretoria, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.
At least one man has died, 2 others missing after a wooden boat carrying 100 migrants sank south of the small southern Greek island of Gapdos. Greece's Coast Guard says a total of 97 people were rescued by a passing cargo ship and were being taken to the city of Heraklion on the island of Crete. The survivors are 50 men from Pakistan, 39 men and 2 women from Sudan, 5 men from Bangladesh and 1 from Somalia. The boat sank about 40 kilometers south of Gavdos, although the cause of the accident is not clear. Search and rescue operation continues for the other 2 missing passengers. Back here in Nigeria and in Lagos State, the government says it's carried out a dredging maintenance in Owodelede, Ajegunle, and some other areas of the state in anticipation of water release by the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority. The State Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, made the comment during a press conference to inform Lagos residents about the release of water from the Oyo Dam. Mr. Wahab also assures that the Oyo Dam is not under imminent threat of releasing excess water beyond safe limits.
The water level at the Car Bridge, inward and outward Lagos State, is gradually increasing due to the release of Oyo Dam by the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority. Some residents of Lagos State are already affected by the water released from Oyo Dam. As a result of this, the Lagos State Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources briefs on the issue to alert the public on the socio-economic implications of the systematic release of water.
As a responsible state government, we fully recognize the challenges faced by residents in affected communities, including Mile 12, Ability, Ikosiketu, Owode, Ajegunle, and Odo, Ogun, as reported. In an effort to reduce the flood risk and ensure the free flow of water within the Ogun River system, Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority flagged up the dredging of the Ogun River downstream from the Ikorodu to Isheri axis on Friday, 13th day of September 2024. This dredging project is a proactive measure to deepen the river channel and increase the capacity to convey water, thereby reducing the likelihood of flooding during period of high inflow.
The state government says the emergency flood abatement gang is consistently desilting and working on secondary collectors in order to discharge efficiently and act as retention basins.
The state had earlier carried out dredging maintenance in the following locations, namely Ajelogo, Owode-Elede, Ajegunle, and under the deck on pile of Itowolo Bridge, in anticipation of water release from the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority.
Still on environment matters, this time the state government is collaborating with the Nigerian Conservation Foundation to hold its 18th edition of the annual Work for Nature on October the 19th.
Land restoration, ecosystem service protection, and so on, and environmental service protection or environmental conservation. We are not actually talking about environmental conservation. We are actually talking about human conservation, because the environment would always conserve itself. And that is why a time like this creates an opportunity for us to create that awareness.
We are not expecting a 360 change overnight, but we are expecting that work to continue to bring into our consciousness that we have a commitment to this environment. To remind us that as a people, we can't continue to do things in a way that will abuse the environment in this era of global warming and climate change.
The Lagos State government says it has a mandate to plant 1 million trees in 12 months towards achieving nature conservation and improving the quality of lives of the people.
Meanwhile, the state government has asked residents to renew their commitment to making agriculture the backbone of the state's economy. This was revealed at the 2024 World Food Day celebration in Lagos.
All kinds of fresh food, vegetables, fruits on display at Police College, Ikeja, in celebration of the 2024 World Food Day. Lagos farmers are here to market their produce ranging from livestock, catfish, perishable food items, just to return home with some income. At this difficult time when price of food items keep increasing, the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems assures the public of food sufficiency in the state.
With this year's theme, Right to Food for Better Life and Better Future, this year, 2024 World Food Day celebration provides an important food security concern in our country. As a ministry, we are resolute in our mission to ensure that all citizens have the access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food, which is essential for the active and healthy lives.
The governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, speaks directly to ongoing challenges of food security worldwide, with an assurance to strengthen the agricultural value chain in Lagos.
Food is not just an essential for survival, but it's also the cornerstone for a prosperous and a stable nation. Lagos State, despite being the smallest in the country, it has the largest population, with almost 25% of its territory covered by body of water. We face a unique challenge in achieving our state food security. My administration is fully committed to addressing these challenges. We are focused on strengthening the agricultural value chain to reduce food prices, ensure a strategy to develop an effective food reserve system, and ensure food sufficiency.
The Lagos State government is asking the public to imbibe the culture of farming in their little space and continue on the path that will re-establish agriculture as a foundation of Nigeria's economy.
All that food definitely works up an appetite. Thanks for watching the program. I'm Amarachi Ubadi.